All right, well, hi.
Hey.
Welcome to Good Vibes Cafe, where the tea is hot. We don't have any, the cookies are fresh. We have charcuterie, and you never know what I'm gonna say. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Um, this episode is called "Are Humans Okay?" This is my podcast by myself, but this is my emotional support human, and I probably will always have one. Because how do you talk to yourself? Have you
Mm-mm.
seen a podcast with one person?
No,
Okay.
it's too much fun with other people.
So it is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that throughout the years, I've like shared bits and pieces of stories after I've had time to think about it and
Mm-hmm.
process and come back. Something my parents were freaked out about because I've been public about stuff is like when I was going through my relationship stuff in the beginning, they were like, please don't share online what you're going through. And I'm like, guys, it's never in present tense. It's always in past tense.
Yeah.
So I try to navigate things. Like one of the things about life that confused me is that 67 things happen and then the 68th things happen 68th thing happens and then we don't have time to process the things that happened before that.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time since 2015 it's been recovering and healing and discovering, but also like living life in between.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you don't have the luxury to stop.
by the time you catch up on stuff you're like, oh, it's 2023. And then I mean, do you ever find like there's times where you're going back and you're thinking in about stuff and you recover details you forgot about the whole time?
Yes, all the
um
time.
so you are an intricate part of the first when I first got help.
Yeah.
um we're just gonna start from I've
The
never
beginning?
told I've never
Let's
told
start from
any
the
of my
beginning.
story, but
Yeah.
before we're gonna be munching on this charcuterie.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I can do this. I'm gonna test my skills. This is by Charcuterie Works. She's in Mansfield, Texas, and I'm gonna put her tag down there. But I told her to just hook us up and give us something really cute. She does these huge trays that I see for like staff, and it's called a grazing board.
I love it.
Girls love to graze.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be munching on that because life is tragic, and I gotta shove my mouth with something.
It's tragic, yes, but resilience is like the main key thing of the story, is that coming from diagnosis that would normally cripple someone, and that would put them right on disability, where they would have to count on something to come in. You've pulled yourself up, not only yourself but your whole entire family. You took your 5 kids and you said, all right, we can do better. We're going to live our life the way that we need to live it. So at the end of the day, it's really a story about being resilient and strong and rolling with the punches and taking things that you didn't ask for, but here you are.
I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't ask to be here.
We did not ask to be here.
But so I've never told, publicly shared, I don't know if I've even said it online, like where my issues stemmed from.
Yeah.
I remember before I started getting help, before I even kind of understood what mental health was, I would talk to people and we'd talk about our childhoods. Like, I mean, before you establish that you're an adult, I don't think you know that you are. So you're just like talking to your friends and you're like talking about stuff in the past. And I remember the first time when I was in college, just before I had even spoken up about it, I was talking to my friend and I was like, yeah, well, I was molested when I was younger. And she was like, and I just kind of moved past it. And she was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, but I'm over it. And she's like, you are? And I was like,
yeah,
I think so.
It's not happening anymore.
So yeah, I did experience like sexual abuse from the time I was 9 until I was like roughly around 13, from a close family member, a trusted family member. My parents had no idea about it. My parents did talk to me actually about, you know, knowing who should touch where and when and why, but they had that talk with me when I was 12. And my abuse started when I was 9.
Well, and it's not stranger danger. That's usually the thing that we were always approached with, especially in the 90s. It was always stranger danger, but statistically it's always, chances are it's someone you know.
And you don't ever want to think that somebody you're bringing around your kid is ever going to harm them. No. So by the time she brought it up, I'm like looking at her in the face, and then she says, has anybody ever done anything to you? And I'm like, no, of course not, because at that point I was confused.
And it had been normalized for you. Right. That's the thing. When you're a kid, you don't know anything. So when an adult's like keeping a secret, you're like, okay. Because if your parents didn't explicitly tell you the things that we are telling our kids now, then
You don't
it's
know.
normal. We're supposed to respect adults.
And that's the
and we're
scariest
supposed to
part
listen.
about being a parent is knowing that your kids are learning from you, and you're trying not to leave out any information and try to tell them every single thing,
but also protect them at the same time.
Yeah, and you just can't. So
yeah,
one of the things that I talked to my therapist about, and another therapist when I was starting EMDR, and I told her, you know, I didn't feel manipulated, because I feel like as a child, like we were just saying, kids don't know. Mm-mm. So we're gonna pause
for the water.
That's fine.
Okay,
I can cut it. Kids don't know that they don't know enough yet. Mm-hmm. So if I'm 9 and I don't know anything about the human anatomy, about sex, about anything, and you ask me if I want to do something, I'm gonna say yes, right? Unless it sounds dangerous, and it didn't.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of times, well, I don't know the statistic. I know there are times in sexual abuse where abusers will threaten and say, you know, I'll hurt your mom if you tell anybody. Mine never did. Yeah. It was just, I'm a child and I'm doing these things that I have no idea that I shouldn't be doing until I finally figured out, and I was like, oh crap, now I've lied to my mom. Yeah, you know, so
now you're feeling really in trouble.
A lot of conflicting emotions. So what I started doing from the time I started experiencing abuse, and then I try to stop now, that you see every day, is I disassociated. So there's a lot of things that I don't remember that great, but there are a lot of memories that are very vivid. And for a very long time, it's like I would remember it and I'd be like, didn't happen, move on. But I started doing that religiously throughout my life. Something would happen, I talked to my therapist one time, and she's like, you minimize the hell out of everything. And I was like, I minimize my abuse? She's like, yes. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I feel like when you address something and you talk about it, it's like you're acknowledging it. Yeah. And my defense mechanism to make it not hurt as much was minimizing it. Yeah. Yeah, I was abused, but I'm fine. Right. Like, yeah, it hurt, but I'm good now. Yeah. Yeah, he did that, but I forgave him. Sure. But deep down, I hadn't addressed anything. Right. It's like I just kept building up these layers. So fast forward from the time I had sexual abuse while I was 9 and experiencing everything I did until 2015. I was, it was what, April? Right before my birthday, 2015. My ex had just had an affair February of 2015, and I swept that shit under the rug.
I didn't even know about it.
Nobody knew. I told no one about anything. So he had an affair, but before I found out, I had booked a trip to Vegas. And so
I remember that.
Found out about it. We got a flight booked. Like, what do we do? We'll figure it out. We'll go to Vegas. So that week is, by the time we got to Vegas, like 2 days after I found out, when we came back, I swept it under the rug. Yeah. So, and I was pregnant. Yeah. With Joella.
I was like, yeah, talk about 5th kid. Okay.
So, it's April 3rd. It's his 30th birthday. I hate celebrating already. So I was kind of not anticipating the day, just a social anxiety, having friends together, having a big dinner. Remember that dinner? We had a party at my dad's, and that morning, before that birthday, so there could be 100 episodes, right? But like, I was married into an unfair situation. I was never accepted into my ex's family. So I still wanted to make his 30th birthday special. None of them came to our wedding. Right. At our wedding, the representatives from his side of the family were his mom, his brother, and his dad's parents, and his uncle, his wife. But his dad's side of the family. Yeah. None of his mom's side of the family, besides his brother and his mom, came to our wedding. And then we were estranged from that time on. So by the time his 30th birthday came, I had everybody that we loved, had them send 30 seconds or less, a clip of telling him happy birthday, all of this stuff. Well, the few cousins that we did communicate with from his family were our age. So I reached out to them, and I had them reach out to their moms, which was only one of the aunts. Now, I didn't reach out to any of his grandparents, his dad's or mom's side, because they were old. And I was like, I didn't want to tell them, take your phone out, make a video, send it. Like, I just didn't feel like going through that. That's why I reached out to the young people. And I had no communication with any of them. They had not bothered to talk to us the whole time. So I gave him the video on his birthday. He was super ecstatic. He made a post about it and said like, thank you to everybody that loves me. I think he like tagged everybody that was in the video. One of his family members pissed her off that she was not involved, even though she had never
been involved in general.
The last 10 years.
But never mind that.
She started blowing his phone up, calling him, texting him. He worked nights, and so I intercepted them because he was asleep, and it was his 30th birthday. And I answered the phone. I'm like, "Do you need something?" I opened the text from her. She said, "Your wife is ruining our family," and I'm like,
"Wow, cool.
I don't even know you.
Yeah,
I live in Texas.
Yeah, you're not part of our."
So I called her. I said, "Am I missing something?"
Yeah.
Because she hung up. Because it was me. She answered. She said, "Hello, hi, it's me. Am I missing something?"
Yeah. Is there something you're leaving out here?
So I called her back, and she's just yelling and screaming and yelling and screaming, and I'm like, my thing. I was like, "Hey, why are you so mad? You don't even know me. What have I done to you to make you so mad?" Even at that time when I wasn't as evolved as I am now, I still knew like, hey, I haven't done anything to you. Like I'm really trying to get to the bottom of this because at this point, I'm really confused.
Yeah.
Because for me to get, I just had this talk with my partner today. Like when we get emotional, like and mad, it's because we're passionate.
Yeah.
Right. So when I get mad and intense like that, it's because I'm passionate. But why do you feel like that for somebody you don't know?
Yeah.
So I knew that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Remember?
It's
the
always
call is from within.
Yeah, the call's from inside the house. It's always the projection from the person.
We hung up the call with her saying something about me not being a good Christian and tearing up their family. And
whatever
I was like,
ways they can try to find.
I said before I hung up, if it takes a birthday video to tear up your family, I don't think the damage started with me.
Yeah.
And I hung up.
Mic drop.
So that's
just one of the small family issues you have had over the years for no reason.
I had to repress all those emotions all day long.
Yeah.
And I remember that night you pulled me aside and you were like, you and Melissa. You were like, hey, you all right?
Yeah.
Because y'all thought it was social anxiety.
Sure. Because you know.
And I was like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I still didn't tell y'all anything.
No.
The next day I woke up and I could not stop crying.
Yeah.
I had not cried probably since I was 9. I kind of feel like that whole situation just made me confused about every emotion since I was 9. And so when I couldn't stop crying, I was like, I need help. I don't know what's wrong with me. I know something's not right.
Yeah.
I had been probably depressed since that happened, but I wasn't aware of it. I knew what depression was. I knew what anxiety was. I knew I battled with both of them on some level, but I had never officially gotten help. The only help that I had gotten was from a general doctor who said I had generalized depression and gave me like, a regular antidepressant, but that's as deep as I had gone. So.
And you're 4 kids deep at this point, pregnant with the
4
fifth.
and a
so
half.
So yeah, you can see how you've been busy and not prioritizing yourself because they were.
Yeah. I mean, and like immediately after you have a baby, you get an instant dose of serotonin. So it's like since we have been friends forever and we raised our kids together, like what were our stay-at-home mom days full of? Charcuteries before there was charcuterie, pancakes, pajamas, swim dates, pool parties.
Just living for the kids.
Our lives were full of very happy things. Like we were obligated to our kids, but we made it a happy obligation.
Yeah.
We went to the park. We didn't have a ton of money, but we knew. And remember,
we had our McAllister's days.
McAllister's kids eat for $1. And I told you at one point you had called or text and you were like, hey, are you home? Can we come to the pool? And I said, how about this? You can always come to the pool. Just if I'm asleep, don't wake me up. You remember that? So it's like we had this whole happy system established. Even if we were having bad days, worst case scenario, we're laying by the pool crying about whatever. You know what I mean? So we knew how to find happiness in between the things that we were going through, because you were going through hard shit too with your co-parenting situation. So I was able to like push all of this off and
Yeah.
fill my days up with goodness and kids. And I just talked to Tegan the other day, and she was like, she was like, you know what? Some people are just made to be moms. And
Mhm.
she's like, you could have 5 more kids, and I would know that that's what you want to do because you're good at it. You love it, and
Yeah.
it is. So I had great distractions,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't distract myself anymore.
No.
So the only thing I knew to do was to call around and get help from a psych ward. Now,
Mhm.
I tried to get admitted to several different places, and right when they asked the questionnaire, if you already feel like a threat to yourself, you're coming. We're not letting you
Yeah,
go.
and
You
that's a
know,
big box to check. It's a
I
big
had
commitment.
to, and that's what I felt like. That's when I said, I've never felt like this, but I don't feel like I'm safe to myself. I don't, I'm not. I
Yeah.
can't see a light. Like it's like it was just darkness. So I ended up, finally getting committed somewhere. I had to be transported by ambulance
Mhm.
because once you admit that you're a threat to yourself, they can't let you go from their facility if they're not keeping you as a patient, because now they're liable because they
Right.
knew that you were going to hurt yourself. If you leave and do it, it's on them.
Right.
So I had to get an ambulance transport, and man, we have to have an episode called "Are Psych Wards Okay?" Because no, they are not. Not even close. So,
well, and especially not for Black women, because you already aren't listened to when it comes to your medical care in general. But then that's another layer on top of that.
and at that point, I was still heavy deep and not even realizing how bad America was.
Oh God, yeah, because
Especially
we were in our little
woman.
cocoon.
We were in our cocoon.
Yeah.
So I actually did not have a terrible experience my first day because
Yeah.
I was there to figure stuff out.
Right.
And I I found out, people ask me a lot, I just had this question today. Somebody said, how did you get diagnosed with bipolar? How do you know you're bipolar?
Yeah.
I didn't go in there telling them I was bipolar.
Right.
I went in
No,
there
you
telling
never
them
said that before anybody gave you a diagnosis.
all the things I felt. I feel this, I feel that. This
Yes.
is what I'm going through. This is what I've been through. This is what I've experienced. And they started giving me meds based on my symptoms.
Right.
2 things I had to learn about mental health is that there's a psychiatrist and then there's a psychologist. One of them is your doctor for your drugs. One of them is your talk therapist for your brain.
Exactly.
So your doctor diagnoses your symptoms and gives you the drugs to go with it. Well, he just gave me antidepressants. I called my aunt and she was like, whoa, what are you on?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why. And she's like, you're way too hyper. She's like, I need to talk to a nurse. So I found the nurse, I told her, and then the nurse talked to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, you're manic, so you were probably bipolar. So then they gave me,
told me that.
They gave me so I had an upper, and then they gave me a downer. And then I was like, yes. And then they said, okay, you're definitely bipolar. So like, I like to do this. It's like we all have this baseline, right? There's no normal.
Right.
We all got to get rid of
our own
normal.
baselines.
Like, I love when people say they're so weird. I'm like, yeah, everybody's weird. I'm weird, you're weird, they're weird. We all have our own weird things, right?
That's like saying something's beautiful.
Right.
It's
so
perception.
There is no normal, but there is where we all operate, function our best at. There's the days when you're not feeling, you're just, I need to get myself back to that place, right? So we had to establish that with me being bipolar. So if I'm wanting to be here and the meds took me here and then they brought me here, so antidepressant makes me here, then the anti-anxiety pulls me down, but then the mood stabilizer is like whoop. So like if I don't have all 3, something is kind of crazy. It took me years to find out the best balance. I was on Latuda for years and years and years until I couldn't tolerate it with my stomach anymore because I needed to take it with food. But that's one of the tricky things about meds that people ask me as well is, how do I know which med is the right one? You don't until you try it.
Yeah, that's always the problem I have with my friends that are, diagnosed with bipolar disorder or some other type of disorder that is harder to pin down, because you do have to have the right cocktail mix, and it can change based on your body. So like it could work for you now, but in 5 years when hormones change and you're going through your premenopause or whatever, it could change again.
It could change. Remember we had that running joke because with Latuda said I couldn't have grapefruit?
Yes.
And we're like, it could change with fruit.
It could change exactly.
With anything.
So that's just about the struggle.
Scotch. Think about like the scotch, how you stretch it out with water and how it changes the taste. It's the same. So
Yeah.
I finally found meds that kind of worked. Are you out of the camera?
No, I'm in.
Okay.
Okay.
I finally found meds that kind of stabilized me before I got out. And I think I was there 8 days. And I remember thinking it was hospital jail.
Yeah, I
That's
remember.
what I kept calling it because it's a psych ward.
Yeah.
But think about the time that I had spent by myself. I had none. I spent no time by myself. So it was kind of peaceful. And for the first time, I was able to have materials and therapy, group therapy, figure out try to figure out what's going on. We were able to talk to any counselors at any point. So I'm saying I probably had a very good first psych ward experience.
Yeah.
Thank God for that, because I probably wouldn't have gone back.
No.
So
and that's not everyone's experience. So
right.
I'm glad that I'm grateful you had that.
The group therapy was something that I had always seen on TV that I thought would be so cheesy, but I enjoyed it the most.
That's what everyone usually says.
And one thing about group therapy that gave me perspective was no doubt you can't minimize anybody's struggles, but at the time when I compared my struggles to some people that had no hope, we had this exercise. Yeah. And the exercise was get a piece of paper, write on a list all the things you have to look forward to, right? So I'm like, heck yeah, get my paper. I'm like writing, and then I'm like, nobody's writing, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm done, And people start, go around the room. Hey, you, what's your thing? Oh, my dog. Like it was just like the most random thing. Some people, nothing. I don't have anything to look forward to. Yeah. And it was like, okay, we move on to the next person. Well, me not having experience in the psych ward or experiencing anything in mental health, I'm like, this is sad. And then I'm like, oh crap, you're in a psych ward. Yeah. Like people are their last sad. So that was the first time I could like correlate my sadness on a scale. Like what level of sad are you? Where in your sadness are you? Yeah. You're not hopeless. You have hope. You have things to look forward to. We were doing our food truck. I was having a girl. I knew it at that point. For me, like there was a lot of things that I had to look forward to. But when I looked around and saw that a lot of these people were hopeless, I was like, wow, it just gave me a lot of perspective. And coming out is like an adjustment period. Because while you're there, you have to remember it's 2015. You can get on Instagram now and probably open your phone and something with mental health pops up. In 2015, yeah, it was still, we knew about mental health, but still nobody was really talking about it. Yeah. I mean, truly nobody was talking about it. It was still kind of like, you heard such and such went to they called it the nut house. Yes. Like, or you're bipolar. Instead of, I'm living with bipolar disorder. Instead of being living with your diagnosis, you were labeled that. And so then everyone had this idea. OCD. It was like we still did stuff like that, and then now it's like I would never. We would never say that. Yeah. Back then, it was still seems like back then, but it was only like 8 years ago. That's it. But nobody was talking about it. So I was still in my head thinking like I didn't even know that there would be a transition coming out. First of all, you don't have your phone. Yeah. All you have is pretty much like a TV, and so I remember just getting out and getting back to my phone. I was like, wow, this is a lot of noise because there's no noise while you're there. You're not distracted. And just even adjusting to like 75 text messages and then trying to explain to people, hey, I've been checking on you. Where you been? Where have I been? Do I want to tell them where I've been? Tell them? Yeah, I can't tell everybody. I don't even know how to tell everybody. So that's where you came in. I remember when I got out, it was like 2 days before my birthday or something. Yeah. You had been in New Orleans with your mom and your sister. And I mean, my family was there when I got out. My mom, my uncle, my aunt, my grandparents, I think my siblings. They were at my house, and it was kind of like when you have a baby and you come home and your family is there to like take care of you. But nobody knew what to say. It was like crickets, like, hey, how are you? Like, I'm good, I think. When you're hurt, people can like give you ice for your knee. Right. When you're recovering from something, they can do something for you. But when it's like literally in your head,
Yeah.
people don't know what to do or say. And it's mainly a respect thing at that point because nobody knew what to say back then.
Yeah.
Now you can Google 10 things to say to somebody who just got out of psych ward. Like, you know, it's not hard. But back then, it's like we want to be respectful. We really don't know what's going on because I hadn't even told anybody. They're just thinking that I had this accumulation of my life and I just have a diagnosis. You know, most people at that point had not even known about my sexual abuse.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, I felt like I was on an island because I like really couldn't talk to anybody because there was so much I was starting to process.
Yeah,
as well.
You hadn't even just processed everything that you were dealing with.
And not just the experience, but then my whole life.
Just everything.
Oh, I have bipolar because of this. I have PTSD because of this. I have.
When you start peeling back the layers, you're looking for explanations to why.
Everywhere.
And you can always pinpoint parts of your life, especially if you really are digging deep into that self-awareness space, whatever triggers that or anything to find out a trigger so that you don't have that. Because it's like sometimes those memories flood out, and the ones that you've been repressing, which I'm notorious for doing, the hard stuff you kind of just shut out when you're getting by every day.
Did I even know what a trigger was?
No, we didn't. And now we talk about them daily because we're
when
like,
did I learn that word?
Identification, that's a trigger. Now we know.
But when did I even learn what a trigger was? What, 2 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't, no, because I've just now started to realize like what triggers are after dealing with the traumas. It's like, okay, that's a trigger because I'm responding now to something I didn't expect, I couldn't protect myself against, and now I have to find a way to cope.
So going to the psych ward getting help was my first step in identifying what my triggers were, but I did not have a word for it at that time.
No.
But my mind is
and that makes it harder.
Going around and around like there's so much I'm catching up on, but also it's like I'm having a baby, there's people here, it's my birthday,
I have 4 kids too.
Like it was very 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 confusing. So right after my family left, I was literally home alone. Like my kids were asleep. I wasn't alone. I was never alone. The kids were there.
Right.
But it was nighttime, and you text me, and you were like, "Hey, what's up?" And I don't remember what I said, and you said something like, basically like, "I'm going to come over. We don't have to talk." And I was like, "Great," because
I'm done.
I didn't know what to say. So you came over, and you brought macaroons, and we literally like just like stood at my bar. And you were just like explaining your trip. You were explaining the flavors of the macaroons. We ate them, and we probably sat and looked at each other, and then you went home. But I remember you were the first person to ever like personify like we don't have to talk.
Yeah.
Like I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we like overcomplicate what people need from us. And then there's that, you remember there's probably that time in your adult life where you realize that you're coming to somebody to vent to them, but you don't necessarily want their advice. You just want them to listen. So there's these levels of realization that you have. And it's like being there for someone could just literally mean being there. Yeah. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to entertain me. We don't have to go do something. You know, you have that friend where they're like, "What's wrong?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm sad." Like, "Let's go get fucked up." And you're like, no. I just
that would make it worse.
Right. So, you know, but there was the first time I was like, okay, like this is what I need when I'm sad. These are the people I need around me. The people that are going to come to me and no pressure, because
just be normal.
At that point I felt like a melted cheese.
Yes.
Like I was just like, I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm in charge of more people coming. I'm bringing a person into this world, a girl into this world. Like I was just so confused. So that was like a turning point on me being able to reach out for help, because back then it was like when you think about reaching out for help, it's like you think that people are going to come over and you're going to have to explain to them everything that's going on, and you're going to
relive it.
What do you need from me, and blah blah blah. Well, it was just like, I'm here.
Yeah,
we're going to eat macarons.
Sometimes it's nice.
What do you need?
Choice. Just be
right. So
normalcy. Yeah.
Good. That's the story of how I got diagnosed.
Yeah.
And my first psych ward stay, which we definitely have to do just a psych ward episode, because there's just like no way I can tap into that and not all the other things.
Right.
Like I can't even talk about nutrition. You know what I mean? You know, that
Yeah.
whole struggle that I had. But I guess in sharing kind of some of the details about how everything kind of started, kind of the catalyst of everything, just me ultimately repressing every emotion that I could. I mean, any emotion that did not feel good to me, I must have had like a
You're
dark
a pro
hole.
at it.
I must have had a hole where I was just like, boop,
yeah,
boop, we're gonna stick it in there because no, it don't exist. It's fine, whatever. I mean,
you're good at that, but for how long? And how genuine is that?
Part of me being bipolar, I have to tell my partner all the time, like, it's not that I'm being a bitch or something. Like, we could be fighting, and if he's gone and I listen to a song, I forgot.
Yeah.
Because I'm able to just, my brain just hops. But it's also
can relate.
It's also made to do that.
Yeah.
My PTSD
yeah.
makes me do that. My
Yeah.
PTSD says, "Oh, you were just mad. Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna figure out a way to not be mad."
Yeah.
So it's like this every single day, and we have both recognized this. My therapist told me I do introspect on a nuclear level. As much as I am able, as much as I have been able to, I have broken down me and my brain as much as I can. But that doesn't mean that shit still ain't hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single day. I mean, every single day. I have so many good days, but there's probably not a day where I don't want to quit.
Right.
Because triggers be triggering. And if we could control our triggers, how many of us would be cool?
We'd be fine all the time.
Like,
that'd be just fine.
If you could be like, oh no, that doesn't trigger me. I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
Shut that off.
Don't let your brain go
like that.
It's all in your head. Just stop that. Cool, yeah. I'll just, hey brain, can you stop these intrusive thoughts?
Let's just stop
like, I'm good.
quick.
You know, whatever. But that's not
and also that's not self-awareness and bettering yourself.
It's just not
because
how it works.
I want to like get through my stuff because I don't want to do it again.
Do you remember there was a point last year where we both were like, okay, listen, the universe wants us to feel.
Yeah.
We need to stop doing and doing and doing and helping and helping and doing and running, and we need to stop. And we felt that, like, I know that last year we probably felt more physical pain from our hearts
just being broken
than our bodies, because it was just like, and then what was crazy was our hearts are being broken on every level, every relationship, the election,
all of it,
everything. It was just like, when you thought something would stop, it was something else. And remember, like, our resilience last year, by the time we got to one of our last situations, it was just like, let's just go handle it. Like,
we didn't care. It's the whole, all right, well,
it could be worse. Nobody's hurt. All right, let's just, whatever. Let's go fix it.
Roof over our heads. Okay.
Because
we had to really get down to basic.
Once you really break everything down and you figure out what really matters, and you figure out how to prioritize the shit that is going to stress you out and what's not, and especially after, like, both of us, like, you know, I say I hate people, but I'm still a people pleaser, inevitably.
And I'm still a people person. That's my career, purpose driven. It's for people.
it's so hard to,
are we okay?
Not at all. It's so hard to get out of that mindset and to just stop and be like, all right, I got to take care of myself, because taking care of other people has gotten me here. And this is not where I want to be.
Well, and I feel like it's rare to find people who are on the same page. Like, for you and me, it's effortless to give, or, you know, whatever, even if it's the last of something that we have, because it's a trusted thing that we'll always take care of each other, because that's been proven. But there's not a lot of that in the world. And that's where I had my downfall last year, was assuming that there were more people who did care and who were on my same page, who really were not, and actually quite the opposite. And it's scary because we are so open and we do care about people. to then decide to keep letting people in or keep doing stuff to better people's lives. Because it's definitely left big scars, so
I mean, if you
that's
think
hard.
about,
You don't find that.
so I know for a fact that you and I are some of those genuine givers who, like, I am such a believer in karma that, like, when I say I don't want this back from you, like, when I say I give from my heart, like, I'm giving not even from me, I'm giving from the universe, right? Like, when I'm pulling, I know what I'm pulling is going to get filled right back up.
Yes.
So I have never given to anyone or anything expecting to get anything in return except for what's naturally going to come back to me.
And that's same.
That's sometimes not instant. I mean, now in my life, I am literally reaping all of the benefits from making good choices.
Yeah, and doing
like
right
I've been forced into a position because of other people's choices, but I was able to pull myself out because I still had a solid grounding. I hadn't burned bridges. I hadn't
been doing
fucked
people
anybody
wrong.
over.
Exactly.
Like, I had established good, solid relationships.
Yes.
So when shit started to hit the fan,
and people did start to come for you,
I had people to fall back on.
There was major.
And I just talked to one of my major support systems today, and I told her, I said, the thing is, I have been through hell for the last 2 years. I haven't even reached up to my mid-level support system. Like, the highest that I've had to go for them is to just call them to vent. I haven't had them intervene on anything legally. Let's not even get them involved on a legal level. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have established and continue to build these relationships to where, like, leaving my relationship and coming and not knowing anything about my future, all I knew was that I had my people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really all you need at the end of the day, because I'm looking around now, like, so here's one thing I want to get out for sure, is that I can no longer allow anyone in my life who makes me go against my gut.
Yeah.
Who influences that in any way.
Learned that one last year.
But you have to learn what your gut is first.
Yes.
So this is
is it irrational or is it gut? And that's the hard part right there.
Exactly. So here's my demonstration.
That's the dilemma.
Especially for you, because we are each other's rationality meters, right? Is this irrational?
Yeah.
Or like, if it's a scattered text, look, I'm about to lose it. Like, tell me I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So listen to what I think your gut is and what your irrationality is. Okay. Think about literally the angel and the devil.
Yeah.
Okay. If you feel something pulling inside you that's trying to keep you safe, happy, secure, loved, supported, that's your gut.
Yeah.
If something is telling you to hurt somebody,
be afraid.
Fear kind of can.
See, that's my dilemma.
So
the fear part plays into both, because it's part of surviving in general. It's a first response.
So, but I would just say, fear is one of those gray areas for sure. But if that voice inside you is telling you to do negative, that's not your gut.
Right.
That is the voice that you need to first not even ignore. You need to evaluate that voice.
You need to not acknowledge it.
You need to acknowledge it and evaluate it.
Yes.
Because first of all, what people do is they say, oh, go cheat on my wife? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Temptation? Yes.
Why not?
Drugs? Yes.
Sure.
Whatever it is, yes. No.
They're addicted.
Do not listen to that guy. That guy is not looking out for your best interests. Now, when something is telling you, like, I want to do these drugs, but I don't think it'll have a good outcome.
Yeah.
That's the voice you should listen to. That is your gut. But I either think that people don't differentiate it, or they just say, okay, gut, cool, but I'm going to follow this guy because I don't even want to acknowledge what you bring to me.
What's easier? Giving into the...
People with no common sense look so happy. People with walking around messing up other people's lives and just pretending like
what they're doing is great. Yeah. The self-awareness is not there.
The self-awareness nowadays is abysmal.
I feel like it's a little both, because you do, you have those like inflammatory like posts, and people are like, on the same side as you now more. I feel like we're more of like pro people, pro inclusion, pro all that. And so I feel like there are people like that, but it's like this really loud other group of folks who are really just ruining it for the rest of us.
We call those guys deflectors.
Deflectors. And what else do they do? Projectors. They project all of their bullshit on people like us who are open and willing to look at ourselves.
Like, you know the Dementors on Harry Potter, how they like suck from you?
That is them.
They do the opposite. They push that shit on you. It's like whatever.
That's what we were just dealing with for the last few years on the friend side, both of us.
So
for the first time in our lives.
Here's a way to determine if somebody was really your friend or not. If they can't wait for something bad to happen in your life, so they have a reason to not like you, or a reason to say, "Oh, finally." Oh, finally something.
Oh, she's
bad
so
perfect.
To her. I'm glad.
Oh,
yeah, like what are we calling her over there? Krusty Krab?
Krusty Krab?
Krusty Krab over there saying that how, oh gosh, I thought y'all were so perfect and blah, blah, blah. And then turns around and starts a war.
A girl on TikTok.
Are humans okay?
Krusty,
no.
Krusty Krab, are you all right?
Are you okay, Krusty Krab? You need to get some help.
What were you
Krusty
just
Krab
saying?
with a K, just so you know.
Perfect.
It all starts with a K.
She didn't even spell her name right, but that's not
her fault. She didn't have to be
here.
But yeah, it's that. That's the thing. Being genuinely happy for your friends is a real friend.
So, but I always tell you this, right? Like, I don't know, it took this situation for you to see yourself as who you really are.
Yeah.
Because I think for you being a people pleaser, and then it's like, your name's Ashley, okay? You got like the most common name in the world. So you probably already put yourself in the Ashley category. Like, I'm just Ashley. It's just me.
Ashley, yeah.
And then a situation happens, you're like, what is it about me that people are afraid of? They're afraid of me. Okay, let me get down to that.
Let's break that down. Why are they
afraid of me?
And it's only
why
certain
are they
people.
Intimidated by me?
It's only certain people. I have such
why
great...
are they projecting things onto me?
Yeah.
Why? What? Yeah. Oh, so it's them.
It's them.
But fortunately for me, I was able to see it at a very young age because I have looked like this my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So there's one thing you can't call me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not ugly. So if anybody ever called me ugly, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're ugly on the inside, because that's not me.
Yeah,
like I'm
that's
sorry.
not who I am.
And for the most part, like, of course I'm not perfect, but if I died and y'all had to go back and find a list of people that I've screwed over or done anything intentionally to, y'all gonna be searching for a long time.
I was like, we wouldn't have one.
Because anybody's issues with me, if they are right now, are caused by them. I have not done anything intentionally, deliberately, blatantly. I have not manipulated.
For no reason. Yeah, you're not doing that stuff.
So it's like once you come to the other side of, especially when you go through hard stuff. There was this thing the other day. It said, like, why didn't you ask me for help when you were going through a hard time? And my response was, because you made my hard time harder.
Yeah.
A girl on TikTok like asks, like, what would you ever have to be upset about? And then is it because of how I look? Like, I don't understand. But people have said that to me my whole life. Even when I was overweight, I'd be like, yeah, I can't. I'd literally say, I can't bend over, I can't breathe. And people are like, oh, but you're so beautiful. I know I'm pretty. I said I was fat.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay.
But I don't know. It's really strange. It's basically, I feel like life is just an experiment on how to navigate yourself and like be aware of the energy that you bring into your existence. Like, everything has a ripple effect. Somebody, like, your negativity doesn't just stop with you. That's why, like, I try my hardest. It's hard to have a service dog to train him to sense my panic attacks when I have made myself internalize so much that when I have a panic attack, I try to minimize it to where I'm affecting no one. But that's just because, like, I live a life to where I'm always being affected by everybody's moods. You know my life. I go out. When we went on my freaking birthday, have a video. We had a 13-hour day at work. It is my 35th birthday. I'm with my best friend. We go to a freaking bar to take a sake shot. and there's a lady mad because I'm loud and happy. But that's what I'm talking about.
For a
like
moment.
your energy just affecting people. Because what am I doing now? I'm talking about that still because of her negativity. Like people need to stop being so naive to think that your outburst or your sentence or your text or your phone call
or your comment.
I'm talking about this phone call from 2015, my guy. You don't just put shit out there and it goes away. That's not how it works. So I try to keep myself aware of that. I definitely try to keep my kids aware of that because when I had Brayden, it was the most incredible moment of my life. But also, when the nurse put him on that table and started pricking his foot, I said, holy shit, I will kill everybody.
Yeah.
Like, this is a bad idea because all I want to do now is keep my kids safe.
Yeah.
And outside of keeping them physically safe now, we know that it's the mental. It's not even them we have to worry about. It's everybody else. Because we put in the work day after day, hour after hour, year after year, making
on ourselves, even, you know, so they can see this.
Our children.
So they can see this.
We talked to Tyler, she's 4. I talked to my daughter when Tyler and Joella are having disagreements. I say, hey, you see me and your mom fight? You ever see me and Ashley talk to each other like that? Like, that is not how friends operate.
Yeah.
Because I want my kids to learn from me and to not be 35 and to have to be figuring out these lessons that I wasn't able to learn.
Yeah.
I don't want life to have to teach them a lot of these things like they taught me.
No.
Self-awareness needs to be taught in elementary school.
Yeah, because that's
we
why
need to
humans
take
are
out
not okay.
world history. Because why do we even have it?
I'm saying algebra, but okay. I've never used algebra.
Algebra can be replaced with emotional regulation.
Yeah, they need to learn empathy. I think history does teach that. Some like empathy from other people's stories.
Teach that if it's taught the right way, though.
The right way, and that
there's no empathy if Christopher Columbus was the savior of the
savages, of the savages who had no God. Yeah, and that's another thing, you know, having to unlearn all of these things that we were taught growing up because that was our system. Like public education is great if they can fund it and make it properly work, but don't get me started on policy. I won't.
Is America okay? That's the episode. Everything's just gonna be a somebody okay.
Is somebody okay? Because they're not. Because everyone's, like you've said, walking around just hurting people's feelings.
Everyone is out here struggling, pretending like nobody's out here struggling.
I know, that's the thing.
Like, how are you?
Every single person being in a tiny, tiny trailer house to a huge, huge mansion, you talk to them and everyone has the same thing. We're all struggling. We are all mentally struggling.
Kind of way.
Yes.
My biggest, like, I just talked to you about this. I told you, I know life has dealt me a lot of cards, but for some reason, it didn't deal me the card where I developed the emotion of jealousy.
Yeah.
I am not a jealous person, except for when it comes to my guy.
Sure.
But that's a different, like, I don't look at you and say, Ashley's got a purple cheetah onesie. I hate her because I want the purple cheetah onesie. I say, hey girl, where'd you get that from?
Yes.
If I see, I don't know, Jackie Aina, she's an influencer I follow. She's in Bali right now. I don't say F her. She's in Bali. I say, dang, Jackie, I need to put in some work because I want to get to Bali.
I want to do
she didn't just wake up and go
that's
to Bali.
That's the thing right there. And I feel like that's a whole society issue for women, especially. Men have their own societal issues when it comes to stuff. Not sharing emotions, not having that group setting where they can talk about that stuff. They don't talk about that stuff. It's just not been the way. For women, we are always competing for everything, and especially for attention of men. So if someone's got something else, then of course it's always like they want it because they're more desirable to men.
I mean, even
and it's like, where can we just be happy for our friends? At what point is it just like, oh my gosh, you're getting to do this? This is awesome.
There was
like that's literally it.
That's in our lives. So many. You are literally like, you know, you kind of have an example of like, I know it's possible because of this. Like, you're that person where I'm like, I know it's possible to have a friend you don't compete with because I have Ashley, I have Tegan, I have Melissa, I have I have all
So
of
many.
my.
Yeah,
Remember
was
the
like
other
your
day
whole
when I was
list.
like, what do my friends say if I said this? And I said none of them would say anything. And you're like, isn't that cool that you have such a solid group of friends that you know
That are
that you're
fine.
safe to say anything to
Yes.
whatever. But that's where I am now. But like you were kind of that friend where, because we've been on such different wavelengths always, like, and I think that's something that may have confused people over the years too, because it's like y'all don't even like, you're this, you're that, she does this, she does that, and now our worlds finally came together where it merged in like
really
nonprofit
collided.
stuff.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like she's a model, she does this, like it's like we're so opposite. But like I have friends who couldn't stand that I was a model.
It's so crazy.
Like could not stand it. But girl, did you even want to be a model before you met me? So why is it making you mad? Like,
at all.
That wasn't even in your mind. So you have to be very, very, very secure with yourself. And if you're not, you have to watch how you project that on other people.
Yeah.
And people don't, because everybody thinks it's just they make a justification for their jealousy, and there is no justification.
Well, because then they want to start picking you apart so that they can rationalize how you have that. Oh, well, she doesn't do this, or she's missing this in her life, or they're missing that. And it's like, okay, so the person's gone now. We've dehumanized them. So it's easy to hate at that point. You're putting them in a box from the start.
Your own box. For what? And why are you even thinking about me that much, first of all? I don't think about people.
Who has time?
I don't like, because first of all, it disgusts me. Like if I don't like you, you have literally disgusted me.
It has to be bad.
I mean,
yeah.
And it's crazy because the people that meet me before they get to know me, they always, you've seen them before. Oh, yeah. When I first met you, I thought you were this. When I first met you, I thought you were this. Because I didn't speak, because I was observing who I needed to speak to.
A quiet friend.
But what was I saying before that?
Well, we were putting people in a box and they were jealous. And then we were talking about how they're projecting their shit on you, and
it is totally gone.
It's all right.
It happens. I love that we get to record. Like, remember we always talk about our conferences. We should be recording.
We
this.
always should.
The parts where we forget and come back to it too, because inevitably it'll come back. We'll be like, I know what I was trying to say.
Yes.
But the call is coming from inside the house. When you feel an emotion, and we're driving ourselves crazy right now because we are breaking down every emotion, because we don't want to get ourselves back into the position where we're like, what happened?
What's going on?
We don't like that swirling nonsense. We like to stop it, evaluate it, figure it out,
control.
So in we can move forward.
But it's the only way we can feel control in this world where there literally is none, especially in America. Where you have to pay your taxes unless you're really rich. And then
I know what I was gonna say with jealousy.
There you go. I knew it would come
One of the number one things that I'm grateful for right now, call me crazy, I'm grateful to not be rich. You know why? When I'm thinking about paying my bills, I'm not thinking about thousands and thousands and millions of dollars. Like, my dedication to how do I word that? My commitment to my life right now is very low, because I have very low, like, I don't have a lot of bills.
Living expenses are low for you. Yes. We don't have a ton of material things.
Because I learned what mattered and what didn't matter.
Exactly.
At a great point in my life, because this time, maybe 3 years ago, I wanted $1 million house.
Yeah.
And legit was like making plans to get there. If I would have gotten that $1 million house, do you think I would have left?
Yeah.
Maybe I would have left.
But not without a lot more emotional scarring.
But then,
and more trouble. More money, more problems is so real. It literally is. I live by that.
If I had a $4,000 mortgage, I can't be a single mom with that.
No.
And I'm not going to want to be in that huge house by myself. No. You know, it's just like, there's so many things I'm grateful for that other people like will look at and skew in a certain way. I want that house. I want that. I don't want to clean that house.
And
I don't want to mop those floors. I don't want to dust those fans. And then I don't want to pay somebody to do it.
No.
I am so happy.
And have to worry about it and work for it and be away from it to pay for it.
This house.
Humans are not okay. Again.
It's been so
we're not
good
okay.
because at the end of the day, like, I know I don't have that much to clean. My last house was huge and it overwhelmed me. My whole downstairs was another world. Like, I can't, it wasn't like I'm gonna go downstairs and pick up the office. No, there's the office, there's the laundry room, there's this
The
room, there's the
kids'
bathroom, there's
room,
this room, there's
the
the playroom,
pantry,
there's
the litter boxes, all
the
of
turtle
the things,
tank,
the turtle tank.
the goddamn turtle tank. Like, there was so much house and it wasn't even that big.
Yeah.
I am so glad that life gave me the right tools to be able to see everything for what it was, to take what I needed, and to make my life conducive to my situation.
Yeah.
Right now, my situation is transitioning, it's rebuilding. I'm not trying to stretch myself thin, trying to maintain a life that I don't even want.
Right.
What do I want to be doing right now? Chilling with my kids. Somebody I met from an event last weekend, he's a chef. He said, what's your summer plans? I said, to work as little as possible, to make as much money as possible, so I can hang out with my kids as much as possible. Yeah. I'm not worrying about what they got going on, what they got going on, what they got going on. I don't care, because at the end of the day, all that matters is that these people did not ask to be here.
No. And they're taken care of at the end of the day, fully and wholly.
All I have to worry about is like 5 bills and making sure they eat.
Yeah.
This could be a whole, I plan out everything in advance now because I have to. Yeah. Everything is so minimal. And in a world where everything seems like it needs to be maximized and quantified and
capitalism. That's what's wrong with us. That's what's wrong with us, guys. We're not okay because we're told that we need to have all these things to be successful. And then we also have to be in certain kinds of marriages to be successful. We have to raise our kids a certain way with a certain religion and a certain idea. It's like, no, at the end of the day.
So do you see our mics? I'm gonna use this mic to say this. Hi, it's me. Marriage don't mean shit. Let me repeat. Testing, 1, 2. Testing. Marriage does not mean shit. Stop telling people they need to wait until they're married to have babies, because does a wedding ring save you from your husband
cheating on you?
Does a wedding ring change anything? No.
No, it doesn't.
Repeat. Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing.
Because these men out here are emotionally oppressed, and they're going to give in to any type of coping mechanism, be it drugs, alcohol, or sex. The 3 big things that get your addiction.
Well, with sex, you can just blame it on being a man, though. You don't even have to have a downfall. You can just say, I was at a low point.
What
life is hard. I'm a man. I sacrifice. I work so hard. I have a job. Having a job
so
is
inadequate.
Hard?
That's always, they're inadequate. That's what drives them to do it. What drives the best friend to do that to you? That's what I want to know.
A what? A what now?
Yeah. Not anymore.
What? I think that...
What drives that? I want to know why women are so fucked up that they were doing that to each other. I thought we had already talked about this.
Everybody.
Lots of girl on girl crime here. I thought we were supposed to be the ones starting this whole community revolution. And nope, bunch of little girls out here.
Honestly, if
taking advantage.
At the theme of my life, who stopped me from achieving? Who's shut me down? Who's made jokes about me? Who's demoralized me? Who's dehumanized me?
The fucking husband. No?
Women.
Oh, it is always the women, yeah.
There have been virtually 0 men who have had anything to say.
No, it's always the men don't. They don't.
It's the women.
It is.
I finally got an assistant, and when she asked me about her goals and her dreams and her visions, like what I had to help her with, like what I expected from me, I said, if you're going to be a part of my team, there is one thing, and this is what I'm going to tell anybody trying to do anything. One, even if you had a vision, say you were going to make a charcuterie, could you tell me exactly how the charcuterie looked until you made it? Because you could tell me, you could say, I'm going to put white pretzels on the right side, I'm going to put cubes of cheese on the left top corner. I can't see that because it's in your head. When you have a vision, that is any vision, a charcuterie, a business plan, a vacation, a dress you're designing. Nobody is supposed to see that vision but you. Mm-hmm. It's in your head. So it is not your job to convince anybody else to see that vision. Mm-hmm. They're not supposed to. And we get frustrated because it's like, you're not seeing it, you don't get it. They're not supposed to. Mm-hmm. Your job is to execute that vision by any means possible. Mm-hmm. So, why was I saying that? I don't freaking remember. I was telling her, if I would have had that mindset and I would have started blogging in 2010, do you know how much shit has been taught since 2010 until probably 2020, when I started modeling for real and like getting paid for influencing? If I wouldn't have listened to anybody since 2010 till now, I would have $1 million house and then be paid for it.
Right.
Because content creation and being an influencer is an actual career now. Mm-hmm. It's not a joke. It's not I want to blog and maybe this will happen one day. Yeah. It is an actual career. Yeah. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that to say that was just a very small vision that I had for myself. I said, I want to pay my bills with the internet. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a thing then. It was a thing that was happening.
So family couldn't get back behind you because our generational family ahead of us, they don't see it.
So many
They
jokes.
Invalidate anything that's not a 9 to 5 with benefits.
For every joke that I got about the amount of pictures that I posted about the one of my cousins, her joke was to write on my captions, I'm not reading all that. Cool, thanks. Just spent 2 hours writing that, but I didn't need to. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, when you have a vision and you want to get somewhere, I think that's where I'm going to stop. Humans are not okay. Mm-mm. Because we are not focused on our own visions. It's like we see somebody else doing something, we're like, I don't want her to do that.
Yes.
But it's not even what we want to do. Yeah. Like, look inside yourself. This is your job.
Yeah, that's it.
God didn't say, whatever Bible, holy book you want to believe in, don't none of them say you were born 2 people.
Right.
It says you're born 1 person. Like, you
unless
take
you're
care of
Gemini.
yourself. The call is from inside the house.
It is.
Humans are not okay because somewhere along the lines we've gotten distracted about what our purpose is. Our purpose is, I don't care if you're a mom, I don't care if you're a nurse, I don't care if you're a pastor, I don't care what your job title is. You're a human first. Mm-hmm. If you aren't okay, your job's not okay, your kids aren't okay, your relationship's not okay. Mm-hmm. Your food's probably not okay. It's probably full of sodium because you're crying tears into it. You're not okay.
Yeah.
You have